At some point, for some people, something shifts. And it's not a gradual evolution, it's not a slow accumulation of small changes. It's a real decision, a clear, definitive, non negotiable internal decision that who they have been, the patterns, the results, the identity that has been running their life up to that point is no longer acceptable. It's not improved, it's not adjusted, it's not managed, it's replaced. That decision is what I call the restart. And today I want to talk to you about what it is, what it requires, and why it is the most important decision a high performer can make. Welcome back to Restart Your Life. See, most people approach change incrementally. They try to keep most of who they are because it's familiar, because it's safe, because the idea of letting go of it is frightening. And add a new behavior here and there, trying to remove a limitation here and there. Incremental improvement on top of an unchanged identity. And incremental improvement works, but only within a certain range. I mean, if the goal is like 5-10% better performance from your current identity, incremental change can often deliver that. But if the goal is a genuinely different level, a fundamentally different income, a genuinely different quality of life, a dramatically different standard of performance, incremental change on top of an unchanged identity is not going to get you there, because the identity will absorb the improvement and return to its set point every single time. You've probably been experiencing this, that step forward and then ultimately 2 step backwards, the breakthrough and then the regression, the commitment and then ultimately the drift. This is the inevitable result of improvement work applied without changing the identity. See, the restart is not an improvement. It's a replacement. Here's a reframe. A restart is not an abandonment of who you are. It is changing from who you have been to something different. This distinction matters. You are not erasing your history, your strengths, your experience, your relationships. You're not becoming someone totally unrecognizable. You're just making very specific, deliberate decisions that the identity that has been running your results up to this point is not the identity that you're going to operate from going forward. You're drawing a line in the sand. On one side of the line, everything you have produced and experienced from the old identity, all of it is honored. We acknowledge it, we've learned from it. But on the other side of that line, there's a whole new self-concept, a new operating standard, a new definition of who you are and what you are capable of producing. See, the restart is not a rejection of your past. It's a declaration about your future, creating a bigger future for yourself and maybe your family. See, there are 3 components that make a restart decision neurologically binding, as opposed to just another intention that fades by Thursday. Number 1, component 1, precision. See, a restart that is vague, it's not a restart, it's a wish. The decision must be precise. It's not, I want to be better. It's not, I'm going to work on my mindset. Very precise. I am releasing the identity of someone who earns in this range and operates at this level. I am adopting from this moment the identity of someone who consistently produces this specific result. And I hold this specific standard. And I operate from this specific self-image going forward. See, vague decisions produce vague results. Precision is what gives the decision neurological force. Number 2, you got to make an emotional commitment. The decision. It must be made, not just thought about, not just written down. You've made the decision. There is a quality of internal experience that accompanies a real, genuine identity decision. that's completely different from an intention or a goal. It has weight. It has permanence. It feels like a closing as much as an opening. Like it becomes like a door shutting behind you, not just a window opening in front of you. This emotional quality is not accidental. It is the neurological signal of a binding decision. The emotional intensity at the moment of decision is what creates the initial strength of this new neural pathway in the brain. This is why genuine transformation moments often feel very dramatic. Not because drama is required, but because the emotional commitment is high enough to create a real neurological impact. Number 3, environmental anchoring. A decision made in isolation in your head alone is often very vulnerable. It has no environmental support. It lives entirely in your internal landscape, where the old identity has all the structural advantages. David Goggins once said, "Your brain has a tactical advantage over you." I think there's so much truth to that. A decision that is anchored in the environment through commitment to another person, through a structural investment, through a documented and witnessed declaration, it gains external reinforcement. That's why coaching and mentorship and peer accountability are not luxuries in transformation work. They are structural requirements. The decision needs anchoring outside of you too, so that the environment begins to hold this new identity even when the internal landscape is being contested by the old programming. So this combination of precision, a real emotional commitment, and a better environment is what separates a genuine restart from another quote unquote intention. I want to share maybe a pattern that I observe with a lot of the people that we work with, right? What captures what a real, genuine restart looks like. So, a person has been in the accumulation phase of their career for several years. They got some good things. They have momentum in certain areas, but there is a persistent low-grade awareness that they are producing at perhaps 40 to 60% of their actual potential. That the identity that they're operating from is several sizes too small from what they're actually capable of. Now, this person, they've tried to improve before, new strategies, new environments, renewed commitments, maybe even weekly, and then something shifts. Sometimes it's in a specific moment of clarity. Sometimes it's in a conversation. Sometimes it's a result that finally makes the cost of the old identity impossible to ignore. And then they make a real committed decision, not an aspiration, a decision. They can articulate that old identity clearly, including the specific beliefs of the old identity, the specific patterns of the old identity, the specific results that old identity has been producing. And then they can articulate the new identity with equal clarity. And there is something in them that has genuinely changed. It's not circumstances, it's not the strategy, the person. That is the restart. And from that decision, with the right structure, the right methodology, the right support, the trajectory changes permanently. Listen, if you made it through, these many episodes, we're in episode 11, congratulations. There's a lot of heavy material. It's designed to be heavy. It's designed to weed out people who aren't interested in changing. But I want to speak to you directly for a moment. If you've been listening to this podcast, to these episodes, and something in you, well, maybe it's been responding. If you're starting to recognize patterns you've never seen clearly before, if you have been feeling the gap between where you are today and where you know you are meant to be, right? That recognition is not accidental. That is awareness arriving in the right moment. See, the restart is not something that happens to you. It is something that you decide, not when the circumstances are perfect, not when you have more time, more resources, more certainty. Now, from exactly where you are today with the full awareness of who you have been and then making a full commitment to who you are becoming. Now, see, the old identity has gotten you here and it served its purpose, but it's not equipped to take you where you're going. You are allowed to make a decision right now, here, while you're listening to this podcast. You get to decide what the rest of your life is going to look like. Now, here's what I want you to do before the next episode. I want you to write down a couple things. First, a precise description of the identity that you're deciding to release, not as self-criticism, but as clarity. Who has this person been? What have they believed their entire life? What have they produced? What patterns do they keep repeating? Secondly, a precise description of the identity you are now going to adopt. Who are you becoming? What does this person believe about themselves? How do they show up every day? What do they produce? What is their relationship with money, with opportunity, with their own capacity? And then I want you to read both descriptions. Feel the distance in between them. That distance is the transformation journey. If you're ready to make this decision and you want to do it with structure, with a methodology, with coaching, with people in your corner, with a 6-month process that takes you from a declaration to installing a new neurological identity, I want to talk to you. I want to hear from you. Book a discovery call at restartyourlife.com. There is a massive group of people who want to be in your life to support you, a bunch of people who are putting themselves in a position to win at the highest of levels. Come join us. And we'll see you next week, episode 12, which is our final episode of the first season of Restart Your Life.